Welcome back to Echo Ridge and another episode here in our Max Colonization series, where our return trip back to Regalado is almost complete. We got another 60 seconds. On today's episode, we're hoping to finish off the meteor protection. As a reminder, this planetoid's meteors hit like a truck, so we do have to protect the infrastructure and the duplicates. And of course, it does take a pretty big power footprint, which we have accomplished a good bit so far. We'll also be completing the taming of this cool steam vent and putting a lot of automation into play because remember, I'm going to be taking this steam out directly using the steam turbine, which means I need to get it hotter, and we're going to do that using a thermal aqua tuner that we're also going to be using to cool this entire setup. More on that here in a little bit. Nice touchdown by the ESS colonizer, and back to work we go, hopefully not getting as much radiation sickness. We have a little bit to repair here from previous meteor damage, but hopefully here in a couple of cycles we'll be completed with all of this. We're also going to have to put some automation into play for our bunker door system. When the bunker doors are shut, the space scanners cannot see to space, therefore they don't know when the meteor showers are coming, which means they only send out a red signal. The red signal is what's keeping all the doors shut. So what we actually need to do is flip this. In addition to flipping it, you want some sort of delay, but we'll get to testing all that out here in a little bit, just as soon as we get this NOT gate in and we get these doors open. Not to mention, we could really use the power. Since our duplicates have been gone, refueling and filling up their oxygen tanks in the ship, all of our batteries have ran out of power because our solar panels can't see any of the light coming from space. And all the duplicates are taking a break already because they can't get into here. So I'm going to deconstruct this one bunker door, and that way they can gain access to the rest of the base. This is going to be another dangerous thing about the automation and the space scanners, for the simple reason there is an opportunity for duplicates to get stuck out here. Won't be such a big deal when this rocket is gone. There should be no reason for the duplicates to go up here, but it's still something that we have to keep in mind. Let's go ahead and put that bunker door back now that they're opening. One quick note, you'll notice none of the light is actually passing through the bunker doors until the bunker doors are 100% open. And it's the same way with debris or duplicates being able to pass through the doors. Everything is stuck on one side or the other until the door is 100% open, which can pose a lot of problems, especially when their doors are unpowered, because they take so much longer to open and close. That won't be a big issue in the future because we're going to continuously add more batteries. So even when the solar panels aren't getting the light for, let's say, an entire cycle, when the doors are closed, there'll still be plenty of power on the network. I've set up a bunch of little bottles of supercoolant by all these transformers, and it's because I need to make sure they stay cool after they're plugged in, because when they are plugged in, they generate quite a bit of heat at a rate of 1,000 DTUs per second. So we need to make sure that they stay cool, and the supercoolant will be able to absorb a lot of that heat for quite some time. In fact, the supercoolant I've dropped here is still only at 14, almost 15 degrees, and it's not even being actively cooled yet. Large projects like this take so long. We spent the entire time in the last episode just coring this place out and building this infrastructure, and we're still not completed. Let me get this all caught up and to where we're at least actively working on the cool steam vent, and we have the bunker door system working well, and I'll give you an update then. Well, before I could even get much work on that project, it looks like we're going to get to test the timing on our space scanner setup because we have an incoming meteor shower. Remember, with our two space scanners, we can only detect the incoming objects 71 seconds to 200 seconds before they arrive. And the 71 seconds may not be enough time to be able to shut those bunker doors. So we're going to get to see really soon on whether or not that's going to be enough time. And hopefully any dupes that are stuck down here will be just fine. And here we go. The space scanners have detected that meteor shower, and the doors are starting to shut. Fallout Stan and Noosh are stuck on this side of it. They already have minor radiation sickness, that's great. But more importantly, their atmosuits only have 48 kilos worth of oxygen. They're probably going to end up peeing their suits, but at least they found some random meat sitting on the ground from a shovel. And it looks like they've also decided to sleep here as well. To highlight the stark difference about how quickly these doors open and close if they're powered, This is the progress on the unpowered doors compared to the doors that are already shut. And that's because this power network here is still not active because they haven't finished the heavy wire that connects the two transformers. But at least this side is protected. But notice the meteors are able to pass through the doors that aren't fully closed yet, because just like we spoke about before, the doors aren't considered open until they are fully open, and they're not considered closed until they are fully closed. This meteor shower is going to be all finished before we even have an opportunity to shut these doors. I'm going to go ahead and make this construction here a higher priority. I've also decided to put another space scanner over on this right side. That way we have a little bit more of a heads up when a meteor shower is coming, or at least the automation network does. It won't have the best vision because it'll be blocked by these two bunker tiles here and the neutronium, but it's not too shabby. Oh, look at all the damage we're going to have to repair. And as expected, it looks like this meteor shower is going to last the entire cycle. Let's do a quick update on Fallout Stan, who's down to 5.3 kilos worth of oxygen in their tank. And Noosh, down to 5.7. Wonderful. Maybe we should dig down here? No need, the doors are open. The meteor shower went to about 3/4 of a cycle, so all they have to do is finish opening, the regolith will fall, the robo-miner will zap the tiles, and then our two duplicants who oxygen tanks are running really low can go home. In fact, it looks like they're holding their breath now. Their tanks are empty. No, 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 no. Destroy this regolith first, robo-miners. And of course, these are going to be the 3 tiles that they take out the last. It's good to see, though, that the system is working as intended. The robo-miners are taking care of all the debris, although we do have some overheating solar panels to be expected. And there's our suffocation message from Fallout Stan. Hurry up, Stan. No, 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 no. You're not going down. You're going up. Because that tile's almost there. We go. Where's Noosh? Noosh, that's really far away, buddy. Run faster, Noosh. Oh, you cut that one close, didn't you, buddy? All right, so this is going to be a bigger problem than we expected. Even the heat from the regolith was enough to do damage to all of these solar panels. So at that point, we have 2 solutions. One, I could put a bunch of mesh tiles above the solar panels, and that way, when the regolith falls, it falls onto these tiles, in which the robo-miners can take care of business. Because the light can pass through mesh tiles. That's sort of an ugly way to do it, though. The second way is by using, once again, a bunch of conduction panels to provide some active cooling for the solar panels. I'm not sure if it would be enough, though, for the few tons of regolith when it does fall on the solar panels. We're going to find out, though, because this is the method that we're going to go with first. Just because that other method is, well, more ugly. You might wonder why we're using conduction panels on this setup and not just radiant liquid pipes, like we're probably going to do down here. And the reason why is because radiant liquid pipes cost 50 kilos for each pipe of whatever refined metal we're using, in this case iron. Whereas a conduction panel, while yes, will take 100 kilos, will only need to be placed on one part of the solar panel. Whereas to be really effective with the radiant liquid pipes, you need to place it more often. Not to mention the fact, well, you can't place radiant liquid pipes unless you have a background such as supercoolant, and well, for the robo-miners, that just wouldn't work at all. And I'm out of iron, and I'm only partly done with just the robo-miners, and I decided to redo the ones for the solar panels, because I didn't like how they were off-centered, so I'm just going to have them being placed in the center of the solar panel. And we're already preparing for another meteor shower. This isn't good. We've only managed to get some of the solar panels repaired. At least this time, the entire top area is protected. But once again, it is a nasty regolith meteor shower that is going to fry all of our solar panels. I kid you not. We're still cleaning up from the last meteor shower and the doors just shut again. Except this time I have no idea why. It says there's a high velocity object on its way. I don't see any. Apparently it was a false alarm. The doors are opening once again. Never mind. Shut the doors! Shut the doors! The meteor shower came out of nowhere! Well, at least the doors aren't considered open until they're fully open. This reminds me of one of the old World War II submarine movies, where everybody's standing on one side of a door looking at the other person. Why are you guys outside? Just soaking up the radiation? Help me out here! Luckily for us, the doors did finally open, just as the meteor shower finished up. so we didn't get any direct damage. Not that it matters much. All that hot regolith is still overheating all of our solar panels. Oh, happy days! We've started the radiation vomiting! And just like before, it wouldn't be a problem if the dupes would just hurry up and finish the work over here. They wouldn't spend any more time up here and get that extra radiation. End of the day, we have 5 working solar panels. Well, we will have 5 working solar panels when these doors fully open. The good news is it only takes 20 kilos worth of glass to repair the solar panels, and when it does, it completely resets the temperature. I have no idea how or why, but it goes from about 260 degrees right back down to 20 degrees. Oh, Josh, just get it out. We're trying to show the people that it goes down to 20 degrees. There we go. We haven't even repaired all of the damage from the last meteor shower, and the doors have once again shut. Apparently, there's another meteor shower coming in. This time, I don't know how Noosh is going to do it. They have major radiation sickness, they're hungry, they have a full bladder, and they're sunburned, and their Atmos suit only has 40 kilos worth of oxygen. If the game doesn't give me a break on these meteor showers, for those keeping count, we've had 4 since I've started this episode, we're never going to get this project completed. Can it at least be an icy meteor shower? No, it cannot. And our doors are opening once again. This time we actually still had a little bit of power left in the batteries, so the doors were able to open a lot more quickly. Well, right until the end. Not that it matters, this is going to be so much regolith. And there goes our solar panels. Oddly enough, during this meteor shower, the repairing of the solar panels is not lowering the temperature. I don't know what the difference is. Well, let's see how much we can get done before the next meteor shower. We haven't done too much since this episode began. No, make the bad man stop! And we're getting another meteor shower. And of course, it is another regolith meteor shower. Second verse, same as the first, although this one was particularly nasty. Looks like the only solar panels that are going to be saved are probably these 2. I'll be back in a few minutes. Yeah, these solar panels are just different somehow. These here, when they're repaired, return to 20 degrees. This one never does. And you might think, well, maybe it's the hot regolith debris. Well, they all have hot regolith debris on them. Nothing special here. They all have heavy watt wire going through. This solar panel is just a special boy. So I'm just going to deconstruct and build it again. That worked. Except guess what time it is? I kid you not, it's another meteor shower. I know this planetoid is known for its frequent meteor showers, but in all the time I've played this game, I have never seen meteor showers at this frequency. I'm going to leave this bunker door off. Yeah, we'll get some damage directly through here, but at least the duplicates can keep working, because otherwise we're never going to make any progress here. And of course, it's another regolith meteor shower. One of the nice ice meteor showers would really help cool the place down. If I didn't know any better, I would say there's somebody at Clay headquarters trolling me right now. This might be the worst RNG I've ever experienced in any video game ever. Oddly enough, ever since I deconstructed and rebuilt this solar panel, whenever they repair it, now it goes back down to 20 degrees, which makes me think it's a bug. At this point, I've lost count of the meteor showers. We got a little bit more progress done. I believe it was a whole cycle and a half in between meteor showers this time. Now let's go back to our old habit of repairing solar panels. And you might wonder, why don't I just put in the cooling loop now? And the reason why is because the cooling loop is going to come up over here, and this place isn't even done being built yet. I'd rather get the meteor protection in play before I start all this nonsense, because this is going to take me a little while. Of course, at this point, so is this. Not to mention, I tend to prefer to do one construction project at a time, because otherwise you're not going to be getting anything done anywhere. And I don't envy future Echo for having to put in all these pipes. especially considering we're getting a meteor shower every cycle and a half. Oh my goodness. Why? Why? Well, this time it was even a shorter meteor shower, although it was still regolith. At this point, I don't even know if I believe the fact that there are ice meteor showers on this planetoid. I wonder what the meteor count is up to. At long last, the last solar panel is in. This is very good news. It's been about a cycle and a half since we've had our last meteor shower, so I'm expecting one here shortly. We'll see. Fingers not crossed. Another reason why I wanted to finish all the construction here before we continue. That way we can be done with all the radiation sickness as well. Once the dupes are only working down here, their chances of getting radiation sickness are going to plummet. But as it stands, they have to stop and catch their breath and all sorts of weird stuff. On average, they have a -4 to athletics, -50% to stamina, 30% to bathroom use speed. And then on the sunburn, we get another +20% to stress. They're getting soggy feet from walking through their vomit all day. It's been a mess. Now, for the majority of our piping, we're going to be using granite because, well, we don't have many other options. There is mafic rock on this planetoid, but if we take a look at the mafic rock description, you can see it only has the tags of general buildable, solid, and raw mineral. Whereas then if we go to liquid pipe, you can see that it requires plumbable or metal ore. So since mafic rock doesn't have the plumbable tag, you can't make pipes out of it. So chances are I'm going to have to send more mineral because I don't think 10 tons is going to be enough. We're going to start by going up here, circling all the way down, then going through our supercoolant and our batteries before heading back home. In fact, why am I even wasting my time doing this? Let me just send over a whole mess of igneous rock. We'll try 20 tons. That should do us. We have finally finished the right side of our meteor protection. Now we're starting to put in all the conduction panels. I've shipped over just a smidge more material, but no rest for the weary. We have another meteor shower inbound. I also wanted to show you this. Has anybody seen this ghost ship sitting on the star map? You can't click on it. I've just never seen it before. I'm wondering if it's an Easter egg of some sort. The addition of our third space scanner has increased our scan network quality to 55%, which gives us a total of 110 seconds of a heads up that there is a meteor shower coming. It wasn't too big of a deal because when the bunker doors are powered, even 30 seconds is enough to be able to shut the doors in time before the meteors impact. We are starting to get a bunch of our interplanetary payloads, which contains some igneous rock, so I am now going to start the painful process of this cooling loop. I'm starting with the robo-miners on the loop, only because I think they're going to require the least amount of thermal cooling, and we're out of igneous rock. It shouldn't be too bad once they finish opening all those payloads. I did send over 20 tons, but this is going to be yet another process that's going to take a little bit of time. Another weird bug that's happening, even though I'm running out of igneous rock, it keeps saying that there's another 1,000 kilos available, which is fine. I'll eventually have all the igneous rock anyways. This just makes the building easier, but still a very weird issue. Oh no. I just realized I need to flip all these conduction panels. No, this does not count as a flipped bridge. Here comes the next meteor shower, and this one's to be expected, because this is the meteor shower that hits a lot of different planets all at the same time. It's the ones in between those standard sort of universal meteor showers that are catching us off guard and slowing down our progress, because these only happen probably every 20 cycles. Look at this, it's a rare iron meteor shower. And now I'm sort of picking up how the game does this. All of the ones in between the standard meteor showers are going to be regolith meteor showers, whereas the standard star map wide meteor showers have a chance to be either iron or ice. Doesn't really help us out, but still good to know. We can always use more iron here. I'm currently finishing off the cooling loop. You'll notice that I have 0 kilos of igneous rock, and I haven't let go of the left mouse button. Well, never mind, we're back up to 609 kilos, just like that. Because I wanted to queue up the commands, and that way I can sort of just go eat lunch and come back, despite all the problems the colony's having. I still have some more work to do here, and I don't know exactly where the pipes are going to go. But so far, the loop that we have designed is it goes up through the robo-miners, down through the solar panels, and then down through the main level of batteries and power transformers. Now, right now, this is all made out of regular igneous rock liquid pipes, and the top 2 layers that require cooling will stay that way. This layer with all the batteries and the power transformers, I'll end up putting in some radiant liquid pipes made out of most likely iron every 5 or 10 tiles, and that should be enough to transfer thermals into, well, right now it's water because of a bunch of steam, but eventually it'll be a nice layer of supercoolant. Apparently there is all the ice in the world here that just keeps creating a bunch of steam due to the hot regolith here. Eventually it'll calm down too. Apparently I've used all the igneous rock on the Planetoid. I don't know how that happened. I thought I had a lot more. And again, I only shipped 20 tons and each pipe takes 100 kilos, so 10 pipes equals 1 ton. I have more being shipped over, but I figured now I can spend a little bit of time working on this, since the dupes don't have much else to do. And unfortunately, it looks like I'm gonna have to go home soon, as we're down to about 3.5 tons of oxygen left. Now, for some reason, I could build liquid bridges out of mafic rock. I just can't build liquid pipes. Oddly enough, not that it matters, I'm gonna use obsidian, because obsidian is my friend. Now, I am gonna put a liquid pipe thermosensor in here, but this is not the only sensor that we're gonna end up using. More on that here in a little bit. I just wanted to make sure that we got the meat and potatoes in. And that additional automation is in the form of an AND gate, and I wanted to show it to you here before I slid it down over the thermo aqua tuner. Notice the thermo aqua tuner's input port is in the top right, but when I throw the AND gate over there, it sort of looks confusing, so I wanted to show you before I did. And then I'm going to tie in the thermosensor and the liquid pipe thermosensor, and then come out from the AND gate into the thermo aqua tuner. And the reason why is because, remember, I want to take all the steam coming out of the cool steam vent, condense it using a steam turbine, and send it directly into a SPOM. Well, in order for a steam turbine to activate, the steam has to be at 125 degrees. So I'm going to have the thermosensor turn the aqua tuner on anytime it gets cooler than that in here. I'm also going to have to leave a little bit of steam in here and control when the steam turbine is allowed to turn on. For that, we're going to be using another thermosensor and an atmosensor. Not sure if I'm going to be able to get them to line up right there. We are going to see. Yeah, I think this will work out well. Oh, I just realized I don't want AND sensors. I want OR sensors. And to tell you the truth, as long as I do them correctly, you don't actually need to use an OR sensor. Since green overrides red, and I want the thermo aqua tuner to turn on if the coolant is too warm or if this room is too cool, I can just combine the signals into the thermo aqua tuner. I think I can do the same thing up here with the steam turbine, which I will end up making out of iron. And the steam turbine is going to turn on if it is entirely too hot in here or there's enough pressure. Remember, I don't need to use an AND with if the steam is hot enough, because the steam turbine will only turn on if the steam is at least 125 degrees. Wow, that's pretty ugly. Can I move some stuff around just to make it a little prettier? And now, because I want to stabilize the temperatures in here, we're going to be putting in some temperature shift plates. In this case, we're going to be using mafic rock only because I have 438 tons. I'd prefer using something like igneous rock, but I don't want to send even more over. The last system I have to put into play has to do with what if the coolant gets too cold. And I say that because, remember, it's not just the coolant that's going to tell the thermo aqua tuner to turn on. It could also just be too cool in here, and we want to keep the steam hot. We need a way to make sure that the coolant, well, needs to be cool. Yeah, I could just allow the coolant to get as cold as we want, which wouldn't really make a big deal to the robo-miner and the solar panel or anything like that, but it would end up mattering to the dupes in here. So the first trip our coolant is going to take is going to be through a bath that is going to be controlled by a liquid tepidizer. I am going to make it out of steel because it has a better thermal conductivity than the iron ore. And then I'm going to use radiant liquid pipes to go through this bath of what's eventually going to be supercoolant. And now I just need to wait until we get more igneous rock to finish the cooling loop. One thing I wanted to note though, notice that the duplicates no longer have the radiation sickness or the sunburn. It's because we finished all the work up here, so they don't have to come up here as much. Yeah, they still have some pipes to put in, but that's a lot different than the rest of this work. I'm trying to figure out how many tons of igneous rock I still need, and one good method is just to count the amount of tiles. So we know here that 30 tiles worth of 100 kilos of igneous rock is 3 tons. Going all the way over this super wide planetoid, You can see just this is 135 tiles, which is 13.5 tons. Not to mention, I still have to cross this path all the way through here as well. And you might wonder, why am I worrying about cooling down here? Well, it's minus 40 degrees because of all this wonderful ice. Eventually, this is all going to be turned into water. We're going to have a nice little lake. I could have technically gotten away by not using a liquid tepidizer, allowing the supercoolant to get down to whatever temperature it wants to, based on how often the thermal aqua tuner needs to run, but I realized the last several planetoids I've done, I used frost-proof dupes, not to care about the cold. This time I said, no, we're going to use normal dupes, hence doing what we're doing. It's absolutely hilarious that I went the first 20 or so cycles with, I'm guessing, 8 meteor showers. And now I haven't had one in a little while. Knock on wood. If you've never seen one of these liquid tepidizer baths, the way it works is the coolant comes through here and inevitably cools this place down. Well, in order to keep the coolant at a certain threshold, let's in our case say 20 degrees, we're going to be checking the temperature using a thermosensor of what this bath is, because the bath will actually warm the coolant up. And because we're going to be warming up supercoolant, 10 kilo blobs at a time, the best thing to do that with is more supercoolant. Now, you don't have to fill this area chocked full. It's going to look like it is because it's only a one tile gap, but you at least want enough thermal capacity that the coolant in each tile can overpower the coolant inside the pipes, which will be enough to make sure that the liquid tepidizer is submerged and enough to overpower the coolant like we said before. And I need to get a hurry on it because our horrible passive coolant system is starting to break down. I'm going to try to move some more ice in here. We have 10 tons sitting right here to hopefully cool some of this water down, because right now it's all turning into steam. This is all bad. And if I need more ice, I can just find it here. We have plenty of it. Here's another 1,500 kilos. I think our system was working better until we started having some of this ice melt and then the water taking the place of the supercoolant. So we're going to sort of start again with some fresh supercoolant here. I'd rather not pour 1,700 kilos of supercoolant down, so I'm going to use a bottle emptier. I'm also going to put this on a higher priority because, well, we're not storing any of our power right now. In order for me to put this fresh supercoolant down, I wanted to make sure I mopped all of the water. Yeah, we're using plenty of emergency commands too. And now I'm going to put this on an emergency command to get that supercoolant dumped. And hopefully there'll be no more water, even though there is a smidge of steam here. Ah, that's a little bit better. The batteries are coming down. They're at 58 degrees and dropping thanks to the cooler supercoolant. Now if I can just keep the steam away, still have the supercoolant slowing. Its viscosity is decent, but we still need a little bit more to reach the end. Hopefully before this power transformer starts to overheat as well. Oh, of course, and here's some water to ruin our day. And because we're working on all those pipes, we're starting to get the radiation sickness again, which means we are eating, sleeping, and using the bathroom in vomit. And I only have 1,250 kilos left, but I'm going to stretch this. I don't want to wait another 30-45 minutes for that rocket to fill its oxygen tank so I can resume recording. Please stop puking. But I have an oxygen tank right here with 1,600 kilos worth of O2, and then I have a bunch of the polluted water that'll start off gassing. And that's not until all of this oxalite will run out. So we're going to push the envelope a little bit today. I also wanted to put in a mini pod. I think this is a great spot for it. We were so close with how much igneous rock I shipped over. I still have to connect these parts here. And then, of course, all the way down here. And now it's starting to make me use granite. I don't want to do that, so I will cancel. And unfortunately, our tank is down to 288 kilos worth of oxygen. Now, the inside of the rocket will be fine. The issue is we're using that oxygen from the oxygen tank to fill the suits. Ooh, look at the baby. Where did you two voles come from? We need to capture you before you make a mess of all my equipment. But I think that's going to have to wait. Here's hoping nothing goes wrong while we travel back to our home planet of Fernial. At the minimum, it'll be another nice break, and when they come back, they won't all have radiation sickness. See you in about 12 cycles, dupes. And I've melted some automation wire. That's not good. Do let me make sure I make this out of steel next time. Oh, this is very not good. The automation wire for the space scanners was what melted, which means all the bunker doors are shutting, which means we're gonna run out of power. And before the next dumpster fire. Well, here it is, the dreaded to be continued. Unfortunately, I still have another 3 hours of footage, and as good as Editor Echo is, there is no way I'll be able to manage to cut that down into a reasonable amount. But fear not, the next episode will be released the very next day, and we'll continue right where we left off. I'm looking forward to hearing everything you have to say about the chaos of today's episode down in the comments below. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.